What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only, it's Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, what's happening, buddy? Dude, I'm wound today.
We were talking about it just earlier. What do I play now that I crushed Halo?
Yeah.
I'm going to take my own advice, actually. Dying Light.
Oh, there you go. That's coming up on a segment you need to pay attention to for next week, which will be the final week for Inside the Game. And this is the final week for ITG Daily, as we'll be going on holidays, returning on January 3rd. We know you'll all miss us, but don't worry, we'll be back. Dude, coming up on today's show, but before we even get to that, the Gunk review is out. Nate and I checked that out. You can head over to InsideTheGame.ca where you can find our review or hit us up on our YouTube. Support us there. Show us some love. Hit that thumbs up button, all that kind of good stuff. Dude, coming up on today's show, Ubisoft Toronto announces they're making the OG Splinter Cell game. It is back. After that, it's followed up by Ubisoft employees don't understand the decision to add NFTs to their games, and Square Enix has stopped selling Final Fantasy 14, where everybody should be right now joining us live over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube at Inside the Game Official. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, are you ready to get started for some Splinter Cell?
Yeah, we've got some good news, some strange news, and some what's going on kind of news.
Dude, we got all kinds of things happening here. Let's get into it, because this comes from John Carson over at Game Informer. Ubisoft has officially confirmed a remake of Splinter Cell is in the works after more than 8 years of the series being dormant following the release of Splinter Cell Blacklist, dude, to the point where it skipped an entire generation of consoles. Anybody else baffled?
Yeah, I was waiting for a decade now, just about.
Well, right? It definitely feels that way. Development duties are being headed up by Ubisoft Toronto, and the game will be built on the company's ever-present Snowdrop engine, which has been proven to do a few nice-looking things, dude. There's no doubt about that. The reboot was announced after years of speculation regarding what the next step was for stealth icon Sam Fisher, besides being in every other game around the world. And
yeah, he did a Tom Clancy tour, and
now he's making his way back.
His own property.
That's right. In an article on the Ubisoft website, word of Splinter Cell's resurrection comes alongside an interview with the developers working on refreshing the series. There's a bunch of them. There is Matt West shed some light on the team's ideas of the project, saying, quote, "To me, a remake takes what you do in a remaster and goes a little bit further with it," end quote. A little bit further, Scott, or should it go a lot further? We figure if they're working on the remake of the OG Splinter Cell, dude, that released in 2002.
Yeah, there's a huge amount that you could add to it, a lot of refinement. But I'm a little afraid, though, because I would have thought that would be a remake or versus a remaster. I'm afraid if they'll touch too much, if it
doesn't feel
loses its charm.
Absolutely, I see what you're saying. He goes on to state that the plan is to stick close to the original's design while updating the tech at the heart of it, end quote. That's not too bad. I like that theory. I like that. We're building it from the... Go ahead, Scott. What were you saying?
They could amp up the ray tracing, all the different kind of light effects. That's what put Splinter Cell on the map back in the day.
It was all the lighting, dude. That lighting, the light and shadow thing, right? It was such a new
lot
concept.
Of the time, that was the only option you had for stealth, and that's where stealth was best.
Absolutely. We're building it from the ground up, and we're going to update it visually, as well as some of the design elements to match player comfort and expectations. And we are going to keep it linear like the original games, not make it open world. So don't expect the classic update to fit into the current Ubisoft trappings of big open maps and exploration. Scott, we just touched on, I think it was last week, that there's a rumor. Was it last week or this week? Might have been the beginning of this week. Every day just rolls into the next now. That the fact that there's rumors flying around for, I believe it was Tom Henderson over at VGC, I think it was, stated that he's got some rumblings in there from Ubisoft that they're working on a Splinter Cell open world game. Now, here's my question. Dude, are they working on 2 games?
It seems that way, if that's to be believed, but a Splinter Cell open world game, I think, isn't that what Watch Dogs could have been?
Well, yeah, they took a different hacking approach, right?
It was a very different,
Yeah.
kind of idea behind it. But well, I'm kind of glad that they've specified this OG is not going to be tweaked to the point of being open world, because
Yeah.
I think I might have mentioned it yesterday. I want to go through and take a look at all the different kind of trends that have happened in video games. Right now, we're in the middle of an open world one. Halo open world, well, that was the biggest eyebrow raiser for me.
Absolutely. But it worked, right?
It did work very well, though.
So I could see that lending itself over into the world of Splinter Cell. Dude, I was excited by that rumor. I'm like, this is cool. I'll be able to stick around a lot longer than doing this linear path that we've done with Splinter Cell games for so long, right? Every time we're in a game, dude, it's point A, point B. And then you get into the world of Dishonored, where they kind of gave you, varying options to get in to take care of your objective. Blacklist did a little bit of that. They experimented a little lightly with it, but it was still somewhat linear path driven, right?
Yeah.
And I was hoping now with this open world aspect, I didn't want to go too open world. Like, I don't need an Assassin's Creed experience for Splinter Cell. I don't think that's how you stay true to Splinter Cell. I think it is kind of tapping into, it was like that Tomb Raider. Dude, the reboot of Tomb Raider gave you a map, but it's not a huge map, right? But it gave you an area, and how you kind of went about that area is up to you in a sense. So I was hoping that they could take that path and use that for the next Splinter Cell game. Instead, they're remaking the original. But it does have me believe, kind of questioning whether or not we're getting two versions. One, we get the original, right? Get the OG. Get people caught up to why Splinter Cell is so beloved and it's been around for so long. And why has it been so dormant for the last 10 years and so forth, right? Get people used to where everything started from for Stealth and Sam Fisher. Get them invested in the character, and then you drop the open world. Here's the catch. You ready for this? At the end of this blog, I read the blog, and as I'm reading it, you get to the very bottom, and it says, if you are interested in working on this title, please apply here. And now, like, oh no, dude, we're not going to see this for 6 years. Like, we're not getting this game anytime soon. This is something that they just shed light on just to say, hey, you know what? We heard you guys. We've heard you for years, somewhat, I guess, that you want a new Splinter Cell game. We're working on it, or at least we're about to start. Which just, man, why weren't you doing this sooner? And the weirdest part, Scott, is how they announced it, right? This could have been such a blow up moment. You put it in a Ubisoft event. Maybe they don't have anything in the pipes. Dude, they have a ton of games in the pipeline. It's just, when are they coming? I think we should do a segment on the show of, I announced Ubisoft titles and where are they? So, because we could definitely do that. But when it gets to Splinter Cell, dude, everybody's been waiting for this. You put this at the Game Awards, and all you give us are 3 lights and the sound effect, and we are sold, right? That's all we needed. People blow up, the Game Awards explode, everybody's all over this, and instead you get a little, hey guys, we're working on it.
We're hiring for a project that you've talked about forever.
Well, exactly, right?
I'm excited. I'm a little skeptical, just worried that after this one releases, are they gonna do the Rockstar and put together the trilogy pack definitive edition? I'm afraid of those kind of remasters now.
Absolutely.
But I really hope, I'm putting my trust in Ubisoft, actually.
I've always trusted Ubisoft. That's the thing. And now Scott moves us into our next article, because I may have lost a little bit of that trust, because Ubisoft staff don't understand company's new NFT scheme. Developers reportedly expressed concerns and questioned the move on company's internal social hub. This comes from Daniela Pardis over at gamesindustry.biz. Ubisoft employees have expressed skepticism of the firm's new NFT platform, Ubisoft Quartz, following the addition of NFTs into the PC version of Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Do we all question this? Right? This is a big thing.
I'm not sure I see their vision on this one.
No. According to internal messages seen by Kotaku, a post on Ubisoft's internal social media hub began to quickly fill questions and concerns regarding the news, with some staff calling the announcement confusing and upsetting. Other question the environmental impact of generating NFTs, as well as concerns that Ubisoft's decision to dabble in blockchain implementation will further impact public perception in the wake of several reports alleging toxic culture, sexual harassment, and pay, just all kinds of other crap we've been dealing with for a while now. Not only has Activision been dealing with it, Ubisoft has as well. So Ubisoft's just been a little bit quieter on the front of it, right?
It's time to purge the sickness. They need to get rid of anything that's going on industry-wide.
One employee said they, quote, still don't really understand the problem being solved here, end quote, and asked, quote, is it really worth the extremely negative publicity this will cause, end quote. Another asked, quote, how can you look at private property speculation, artificial scarcity, and egoism, then say, yes, this is good. I want that. Let's put that in art, end quote.
That pretty much speaks to my concern.
Absolutely, right? Ubisoft unveiled that it would be implementing blockchain technology in a breakpoint last week and will run a beta test of Ubisoft's Quartz later this month. A Ubisoft representative told GamesIndustry.biz that the NFTs, quote, will always be cosmetic items that have no impact on gameplay, end quote.
Oh boy, I've heard that before.
Well, that's just, man, I don't see it. We touched on it last week when they announced Quartz. And I think it was the following day, dude, it had 40,000 dislikes on their YouTube video to the point where they
ratioed
dropped it, right? They just, I don't get it. I know a lot of people. Here's the thing. I think it's a muddy water right now with blockchain, NFTs. We're seeing the developers, and some developers, not all developers, right? We're starting to see some of them get into this technology where I think it will impact them to generate more money. But yeah, from the consumer side, I don't think it benefits us whatsoever. If you get one of the biggest companies, and it stands for itself right now, Scott, the fact that you have one of the biggest developers in the world who had 40,000 dislikes on their launch video of this new NFT platform. That's from the gamer's perspective.
Yeah,
right.
I think it speaks for itself, really. There's a huge amount of backlash because people just don't understand what's going on. And if they are deciding to do this to play to a certain crowd, that crowd is very small, from my understanding.
Absolutely. It doesn't seem to bode too well with players right now, being cosmetics. Dude, the idea of me getting a serial number and having that flash around the screen, I could care less. Really.
I struggle to try and find a creative way that could benefit. You know, for example, if I unlock Hayabusa armor for Halo, does that mean I get the Hayabusa NFT? Is that something that is handed out like an achievement or like a trophy?
But
That's
then
I could maybe understand, but still not sure why we need to tweak those.
Then you could sell it though, or trade it.
I'd be an Xbox millionaire right now.
So that's the latest update. Even the employees over at Ubisoft right now are confused by this whole NFT decision. So what's that tell you, right? I don't know if this is going to stick around. Yeah. Definitely curious to see, because I know a lot of people are banking on NFTs to work early and get in and get out.
We've heard that Peter Molyneux is on top of it too, interested in NFTs, and I'm afraid, man.
Dude,
if Sean Murphy comes out and wants NFTs, then I know.
I don't think Sean will. But does Peter Molyneux really surprise you that he's invested in this?
Not really.
Not in the slightest, dude. But let's move on to Endwalker. It is so popular, Square Enix has had to stop selling Final Fantasy XIV. This comes from Matt Purslow over at IGN. Square Enix has had to temporarily suspend sales for Final Fantasy XIV because of the tremendous success of its latest expansion, Endwalker. Writing on the Final Fantasy XIV website, producer, and director Naoki Yoshida explained that the sheer amount... Dude, I nailed that! Scott, that's a high five. Thank you. I'm taking that. Yes! Yes, we all know I suck at names, but I'm rolling with it still. So there you go. The sheer amount of people playing Endwalker has far exceeded Square's server capacity. In order to try and alleviate the long wait times for players logging in, the company has decided to stop selling Final Fantasy XIV to new players to temporarily stem the tide of incoming server traffic. Dude, what an incredible problem to have.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's got to be the best problem to have. They're
Absolutely
too popular. We saw this happen with another game. Was that New Worlds that had to temporarily pause? Yeah, again, another good sign of success.
Dude, that's...
by the headline of this, I was a little worried. Like, hold on, is this Final Fantasy XIV on the way out?
No, that's not at all.
Huge end of an era.
Yeah, no.
No, there's no signs of slowing down.
No, none whatsoever. And I think that's fantastic. It's great to see that it is so popular that their servers can't even keep up. You and I have not been into Final Fantasy 14 yet to see what the whole hoopla is all about. But I don't know. Everybody, it's got such a massive fan base. And we talked about this for the Game Awards and what their ongoing service game was going to be. And you said Final Fantasy 14. And you know what? They won it, right? So it was good.
It's just got the longest track record for me. Fortnite might spend more money on it, but
yeah,
in my opinion, Final Fantasy is the way.
Absolutely. Scott, let's get into an ongoing topic. It's kind of somewhat getting settled. CD Projekt has settled its Cyberpunk launch lawsuit, paying suing investors just $1.85 million.
Oh,
that is it. Dude, that is it. This comes from Chris Scullion over at VGC. CD Projekt has agreed on settlement terms with a group of investors who sued the company over Cyberpunk 2077 disastrous launch. A new statement released today states that negotiations were concluded on Wednesday and will see CD Projekt paying out just $1.8 million to the plaintiffs. Quote, according to the term sheet, members of the class, including the plaintiffs, shall relinquish any and all claims against the company and members of the management board, end quote. Dude, $8.5 million is nothing for what they made on that game at launch.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not just a complete loss in all aspects. I look at the 1.8 going to suing investors. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Of course, they put their money up and didn't really get what they bargained for. I think that's even more true of the people who bought the game. Well, I think that's truly who should be. I don't know if sue is the right term because I think that's kind of harsh, but
you need some kind of justification,
some sort of class action settlement of some kind. Whether Cyberpunk 78, I want that to be free if you paid for 77.
Dude,
you know?
Listen. Let's continue on with the article because, for comparison, CD Projekt made over $563 million in game sales during Cyberpunk's release month alone. So the $1.8 million is just a drop in the bucket, dude. Like, it doesn't even fizz on them, right? Like, they're not hurt by that. Over $500 million on Cyberpunk. I knew it was going to sell.
That sets a scary precedent, though, because
it does.
I don't want, how much money did No Man's Sky make? And if this becomes a series of examples, I'm afraid that it's not going to help out gaming.
No, right? You can't just launch a crap game. Like, if it doesn't work and it's all buggy, all to hell and broken, you can't launch that. But when you make $500 million, who says you can't launch that?
Yeah, it becomes attractive.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's the end of that article. Let's move on because I'm excited for Guerrilla shows off the stunning PS4 version of Horizon Forbidden West. It comes from Tom Ivan at BGC. This, dude, I think this is smart. I think this is very, very smart on Guerrilla's part because we all have seen PS5 gameplay. But where does that leave last gen? Where do they stand, right? What are they going to get moving forward into Horizon Forbidden West? Should PS4 owners be concerned? Do they need to rush out and try and find a PS5 in order to make this work, look good, this, that, and the other? So they went in here. Guerrilla Games has released 4 new screenshots for the latest game on PS4, Horizon Forbidden West. Quote, we've showed you a lot of footage of Horizon Forbidden West on PS5 so far. Yes, we have. Dude, so I saw this article. I was like, oh man, not more gameplay. But the game also looks and plays stunning on the PS4, quote, it claimed today. Guerrilla said earlier this year that Horizon fans shouldn't be worried that the PS4 version of Horizon Forbidden West has been compromised by the studio's work on the PS5 one. Publisher Sony announced Horizon Forbidden West for PS5 back in June 2020 before confirming the PS4 version last September. While the power of PS5 has enabled Guerrilla to add extra levels of detail to the game on the newer console, in September, lead character artist Bastian Ramsey told the PlayStation blog that the studio is aiming to deliver an equally engrossing experience on PlayStation 4 platforms as well. Quote, we actually developed and tested the game simultaneously on both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 because it's very important to us as a studio to ensure PlayStation 4 players get an equally immersive experience, end quote, he said. Dude, I like it. I really stand behind Guerrilla. I think they're doing what is right. because the biggest problem right now is what we all see. Nobody can find a next-gen console. So let's make sure everybody still has access to it. Let's put it on the other console as well.
Even at that, it's on the other console, and we know that, but it's the disparity between, well, is this version going to run just as well, or is it a buggy launch? And that's something we've seen far too much of lately. And my initial thought, hearing more of Horizon Forbidden West, is there anything in that game that we have not seen yet? Beyond the credits, I think we're just about there.
We've seen so much. I'm ready to go.
Though. I'm excited.
I'm definitely pumped, but I've seen enough. I don't want to see any more, right? Because I always tread on that. I hate spoilers. Don't get me into that spoiler territory. And anything past a certain point now becomes like spoiler territory. So I don't want to get into that stuff. But dude, what I want to get into though is some of the updates we got coming out today, because Medieval Dynasty has got a new update going on. Render Cube and Topless Productions is set to give players a whole new perspective in its RPG survival sandbox, Medieval Dynasty. Developer Render Cube is releasing its first roadmap milestone and its long-anticipated third-person perspective. That's coming in Q1 of 2022. So keep your eyes out for that. Dude, have you checked out Medieval Dynasty yet at all?
No, I'm very curious though. I've seen a friend online, and I was going to ask him questions about that, but it feels awkward asking other people questions about games. I think I prefer to be asked.
Yeah, it's kind of what we should be doing, but this is our side. But yeah, so that's cool. Definitely, I bought that game. I wanted to play it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's there in my Steam library. So yeah, it's one of those things I want to get to over the holidays because. Well, we are busy, but dude, let's get into what Strictly Limited Games has announced. In partnership with two-man developer team Mad Fellows, are proud to announce that the indie hit Arrow Complete Edition will receive a much-deserved limited box release on the Nintendo Switch. This rhythm rail shooter synergizes high-speed sci-fi shooter action with an incredible licensed EDM soundtrack to deliver a uniquely exhilarating audio-visual experience that received much praise from press and players at launch. That's coming on December 19th. You can get that at midnight on the Strictly Limited Games website. And we also got it posted right there for you as well. So you can check that out.
Cool. Well, Scott, that sounds like a cool idea. I like that.
Absolutely. Dude, why don't we get into what games are coming out for today?
We have, this one I saw coming up a couple days ago, actually. This is a little strange to me, but I like it. Alien Isolation is now available on the Android and iOS platforms.
Are you going to check this out? Like, I got a question, man, at this point. Like, I'm kind of intrigued.
That's exactly where I am. It's a curiosity grab, but at the same time, I haven't beat that game yet. So this might just be it. To get the same kind of horror aspect, I might have to play it in my bathroom with the lights off. But I foresee a good time.
That's an image, man. That's an image. Gone too far.
Interrupt my normal deep thought. But we also have the second part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is Intergrade, and that is launching on PC today.
Nice.
We also have Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. I think that's the 10th title.
Oh, man, they have so many. That is just not for me at all.
That is on PlayStation 4, 5, and PC. I suspect there'll be more releases further down the road.
Yep.
But we also lastly have The Gunk, and that is on the Xbox One, Series X, S, and PC, and it's available on Game Pass day one.
And you can check it out over on our YouTube channel, as we have a review there posted as well over at Inside the Game Official, as well as InsideTheGame.ca. So definitely check that out. We're there. Nate and I just reviewed that one. Scott, dude, this is going to wrap up today's show. It was a good show. Lots to talk about. A lot of Ubisoft stuff. It's always exciting to talk about Splinter Cell. It's nice to have him back, but we'll see him in another decade.
Yeah.
Right? But either way, dude, that's going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at Inside the Game Official. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm Drew, that's Scott. We'll see everybody tomorrow inside the game.